Tensions between President Robert Mugabe and his Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa had heightened by October of 2017. At a rally, Mugabe publicly rebuked his right-hand man for the first time. Weeks later, the Vice President was fired.
His Excellency the President, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, has exercised his powers to relieve Honorable Vice President A.D. Mnangagwa of his position as Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
Mnangagwa fled to South Africa. It's believed that this was to make way for First Lady Grace Mugabe, but the former president has denied this, saying that he wanted his comrade Sikeremaye to be his successor. A storm was brewing in Zimbabwe. South Africa's intelligence warned authorities about a potential military intervention. The country's Defense Force Chief, Constantino Chiwenga, a Mnangagwa loyalist, launched Operation Restore Legacy.
We must remind those behind the current treacherous shenanigans that when it comes to matters of protecting our revolution, the military will not hesitate to step in.
On November 14th, 2017, military tanks were seen rolling into the capital city, Harare. Soon after, soldiers took over the state broadcaster SABC.
Firstly, we wish to assure the nation that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, and his family are safe and sound, and their security is guaranteed.
In the following days, Mugabe's allies were being targeted and their homes raided. Most of them fled the country.
If nothing is done to have a fact-finding process in order to then test the readiness and the requirements for free, fair, and credible elections, we will set a dangerous precedent in SADC. Other military generals out there, and there's no shortage of them, will get some fancy ideas to say, if, as we say in Southern Africa, if Zimbabwe did it, why can't Malawi did it? Why can't Zambia did it? Why can't Mozambique did it? And then, in the end, everybody will did it.
On the 19th, Mugabe was sacked by his party, with 20 of his loyalists expelled as party members. The president was given a deadline to resign, but he didn't do that.
In a few weeks from now, I will preside over its processes, which must not be prepossessed by any acts calculated to undermine it or to compromise the outcomes in the eyes of the public. Asante sana.
A parliamentary committee recommended that impeachment process must start. The recommendation was made by 2/3 majority. Mugabe beat them to the punch, sending his late resignation before Parliament concluded the impeachment process.
The Honorable Jacob Mudenda, notice of resignation.
Chiwenga announced that Mnangagwa will soon return to Zimbabwe, and he did.
The people have spoken. You yourself said, if the people say I must step down, you shall comply. this is the time to comply. Because the voice of the people is the voice of God. Today, we are witnessing the beginning of a new and unfolding democracy for our country.
And that was the end of Mugabe's 37-year rule over Zimbabwe.
Do you feel betrayed in terms of what happened last year in November?
Very much so. Yes, I feel betrayed. It shouldn't have gone that way. Betrayed and the country betrayed. Also, our ideology betrayed. Mm-hmm.
The other question, these are the people you knew very well. Towards this incident or, the change of power, did they perhaps engage you to hear the side of your story?
Which ones? They just went about doing what they had planned, and engaging me would have amounted to their wanting, you see, as it were, to make their plan depend to some extent on the views that I would have given them, when in fact they had already made up their mind that they would go the military way. And you don't have to consult anyone for that.
What happened? Were you forced to resign?
Yes, by circumstances, definitely. Otherwise, we had planned an extraordinary conference of the party. I was going to resign there and make room for new candidates. Then the party would have chosen its own candidate, and I thought Mnangagwa stood a good chance of being elected. This is what I thought we were doing together, because we had planned that together, that let's now hold an extraordinary Congress. Extraordinary because our Congress was also always held after 5 years, but 5 years had not come yet. It was 4 years, and so it had to be an extraordinary Congress, but with the same powers as the ordinary Congress. We would resign, all of us, whether at the top or as secretaries of departments, and then new persons would be elected. And I thought that that meeting, a chance naturally would arise for us to choose our new candidate for the national election as president, and that Emerson had a good chance.
He has argued that this had to happen, and the army also, the leader, argued that this had to happen because there were problems in terms of the economy, and the nation was restless.
Did he say that? Oh, no, then he just went astray. Oh, the economy, you don't bring about a coup d'etat because the country is having economic difficulties. How do you cure them with a coup?
He was isolated and spent most of his twilight days in Singapore, where he took his last breath. Sophie Mukwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.